Did you try using Cursor AI? With AI becoming more prevalent today, I wanted to answer one simple question. Can I be replaced by AI? So I compiled a list of tasks I expect Cursor to perform if I'm going to be replaced by AI in 2026. So here we are inside of Cursor. I can open the Cursor agent with Command I, and let me go and get a simple SOQL query. Here we have that in a script, and we can execute and see some data. Next on my list, I want to go and write a batch class. So here we have the created class where we go and implement some batchable stuff. We have a default industry. We then go and use the query locator. We loop through all the accounts, and then we save them. Now this result message system is probably a little cumbersome, and I probably wouldn't push this to prod, but this is good enough. So if I go and deploy this, you can see that the class was compiled successfully. And now let's go and run this. And here on our test record, you can see that the industry was updated. Of course, we couldn't deploy this without a test class, so let's get a test class in order. So here we have a generated test class where we go and create some blank accounts. We create some more blank accounts with an empty industry. We create some accounts within existing industry, and then we go and insert them. So here in our first test class, we go and get the count in a pretty unelegant way. We assert our base case. We then run the batch. We confirm some more stuff. And then inside a for loop, we go and confirm the industry for each account. We do have an error while trying to loop through the query locator. I've noticed that the AI becomes pretty verbose with this, and this is not necessary, so I'm just going to delete this. Now when I go and deploy, and we can run all of our tests, and here's the related coverage. Now that we've confirmed this works, let's just go ahead and schedule this. So I want to go and schedule this at 1 a.m. So because we didn't implement schedulable in the initial implementation, it will create a new class. We want to have this be under one class. So I've got an updated prompt where we implement it in the original class, deploy, then schedule. And we can see that the job was created successfully here. Now let's go ahead and write a trigger on the opportunity where we set the default name. What I want is the account name to be first, then the quarter and year that the opportunity will close. So now I have an opportunity trigger that grabs all of the account IDs. We then go and query them to get the name. Then we go and format accordingly. And while this does deploy, this doesn't follow many best practices, like having a separate trigger handler file, as well as going and calling this opportunity trigger. Nevertheless, we can go and save and see that this works. Next, I want to go and make some dummy data. So let's just go ahead and create some accounts, contacts, and opportunities. So it went and created an Apex class where it populates a list of maps to go and create them. And this is for every S object type required. We relate objects down here in the code, and then we have some debug statements. It also created this create test data script so I can go and execute anonymously. And you can see that that test data was created. Now, this wasn't my preferred way of doing this. I actually wanted to try and get it to create a CSV file that would then go and upload via the CLI, but this works. So my new favorite way of developing is using third-party libraries. One of the libraries I really like is Apex Libra. So let's go and get Cursor to install this. Okay, so this has just been spinning. I think that I'm too vague, and it wants to clone this. So I did want to go and install this as an unlocked package, which allowed me to go and select which libraries I wanted. I don't want all of them, and this is spinning. So we'll just say that my prompt was a little too vague. So I want to specifically go and install the collection package. So that requires this package as well as the shared package. So I just went and grabbed the first URL, and you can see that we're actually installing the package now. So we did go and successfully install the shared package, and we can go and do the same for the collections package. And you can see that both packages were installed correctly. So now what I want to do is I want to get the actual code from these packages into my org so that then I can go and better use the features within the IDE. So the first thing I tried to do is just retrieve the files, which would only go and get the files from the Salesforce org and not actually from our project. So then it went and queried all of the classes and generated a related XML to grab them. And this looks good, but I do want to organize them. So now we have the original files created, as well as we have the library files organized into these subfolders. So now what we want to do is I want to refactor this class to use Apex Libra collections. And so that's going to go and clean up the code quite a bit. So here's what I want to do. I want to go and refactor this to use a trigger handler to follow best practices better. I know Apex Libra has a trigger handler library, but I want to go and do it this way as I hope it will be faster. The other thing I want to do is use the collections methods, which will make the code cleaner. And finally, I want to delete this so that then I can follow a better name format. So what ended up happening is it actually created its own trigger handler implementation. So you can see that this is similar to the way that Apex Libra does it. If I'd known that it was going to go and implement this from scratch, I probably would have just used the existing implementation from Apex Libra. One thing to note is that Cursor doesn't go and deploy these after creating them. So I still have to go and deploy. And even though these files were deleted inside of our Git, these weren't deleted inside of Salesforce. So you can still see that here. The next thing it did is it created this opportunity handler, and we have before insert and before update. And we go and filter these based on this condition. So the account ID is not null and the close date is also not null. So from the valid opportunities, we go and grab all the account IDs. It doesn't know that we have the map by, but that's okay. And it also doesn't know that we can set field values using Apex Libra, but we can live with this implementation. And this is that new opportunity trigger. So I went and deleted the old Apex trigger. And now you see if I go and update the name, we still have the correct name format as expected. So what I want to do is I want to create an opportunity line item trigger that will go and sum the amount based on the opportunity. Think of this like a rollup. And so this needs to go into a hardware total and a subscription total. And the thing is we don't have any products, so we want to go and create them. I'm going to go and try and force it to use the CSV and CLI version that I wanted it to do as opposed to writing an Apex class. I also don't have these total fields created, so I'm going to try to get Cursor to create them. Now, one of the things that you can do inside of Cursor is you can actually use plan mode. So what it'll do is instead of creating code right away, it will go and create a game plan that it will then go and use as a checklist. So here we have that plan created inside a markdown file. And so we have the details of the custom fields. We have the opportunity trigger implementation. Apparently it's going to upload via CSV. It's going to make some test classes. And here is the implementation details. So we also have this testing strategy that we can review. This probably is too verbose, but we'll leave it as is. So the first thing that it did is created an opportunity line item trigger handler. We have some hard-coded constants for the hardware and subscription. We have the after insert and after update. We also have some more after delete and after undelete, as those would matter for the total. And then we have the summing function where we have an early return. We get all of the opportunity IDs. It looks like it didn't use Apex Libra again. It sums all of the values in a map, which could be interesting if you were going to go and use multiple product families, right? So maybe like 10 product families. This might be a better implementation. I probably would have done just with hard-coded values for hardware and software, but I think this is just a flavor. Then we go and sum them by the family. Then for the opportunity, we go and set the totals. And finally, we go and update these. Of course, we have the related opportunity line item trigger. And here we have the test products. So it gives us actually the command here to run this. So I'll just go and run this inside my command line, and that didn't work. So what we can actually do is we can give this error to Cursor. So it gave us an updated command, which the import tree is not a correct command, but we can import bulk. And you can see that this is running and completed. Keep in mind, no standard price was added, so we'd still need to go and add that. And now we can go and add these products. You can see here that they totaled. Keep in mind that because I created them through the CLI, I had to go and still set the profile permissions inside of Salesforce. So now what I want to do is I want to go and update any opportunities that were created inside the org before this implementation was created. So I'm having it run a simple queueable that will go and update opportunities based on a cursor. It's going and basically offsetting using the Salesforce offset. Now, I know it's set to version 60 when it's created, and so I'm not exactly sure when cursors came out, but this is not a cursor implementation. So let's go and try to nudge it in that direction. So you can see here, we're not using the cursor method. We have this really weird way of filtering all of these. This confirms to me that AI will replace